So welcome everyone to the first Drivin Dads of 2024.
2024.
Yeah, this is 11, hey? Number 11.
Number 11,
So we
yeah.
managed 10 last year. Let's see if we can do more this time. Oh,
Yep.
I'm a little far away from the mark. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we will. We
So we're
definitely
good.
will.
Got a couple things to talk about. You've got quite a few things to talk about. which is quite nice.
Okay, so touched on this in the last episode, but I didn't go into too much detail. But I want to talk about sort of new cars coming for this year.
Yeah.
Okay, are a bunch of interesting ones. International and local.
Mm-hmm. I looked at one or two other cars that I think we'll touch on electric cars as usual.
Yeah.
Because that's what's coming out and that's what's interesting.
And yeah, I actually want to talk about South African car manufacturers, but not the big brands.
Okay, so not the Toyota inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But very much local brands. Okay. And just slightly historical one, and one that's sort of new and sort of upcoming. But there's some interesting things there.
That's cool.
Okay.
Where should we start?
Well, New Year. So let's start with some new cars.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, as we know, international. The cars that so international cars I'm interested in. Okay, well, there's the new X2 and iX2, which essentially showed in the last year. But so that's the BMWs.
Yeah.
But the BMW that I'm really looking forward to, the new M5.
The new M5.
Yeah.
Petrol M5.
Yep. Yeah.
What engine are they putting in?
It's gonna be a V8. Okay. Yeah. So, but M5's coming in like a standard sedan form and touring, so station wagon form.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So that's going to be.
That's bold by BMW.
There's a long history of M5 stations.
Yeah, I mean, I've got an estate, which
Yeah.
I adore. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it doesn't... what space does it actually give me, you know? But
No.
it's still... There's something about it.
Yeah. The old E60, if I remember right, had an estate version. So yeah, with the V10 and
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah. I mean, so I mean, there's even an M3 touring at the moment. So yeah. So So the M5 is one of the big ones to be looking out for this coming year.
That's nice.
Okay.
That's a dad's car, though. You know, the 5 Series. It's always been a dad's car. Yeah.
Okay. Now there's an interesting one which isn't coming to this country because it's a Cadillac. Okay. But now, many years ago, Cadillac was a sort of upmarket brand and so on. Okay, so it lost some of its cachet. I mean, there was Cadillac Escalades, and it got associated with sort of the wrong types and so on.
Footballers. American footballers.
Yeah, and
Drug dealers.
Yes,
That was the other one, yeah. Okay.
Anyway, but now Cadillac's trying to
I mean, it's better than Mercedes being associated with Hitler. You know, I mean, we drove around. What's that famous guy? I forget his name. The drug dealer guy. You know, Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
Woo. But these guys were like the worst person in history.
Okay, so Cadillac Celestiq. Okay,
What's it called? The what now?
Celestiq. CELESTIQ.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think some people might call that Celestique.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting car. It's all electric.
Sedan, what shape? What body?
It's a fastback. So, so it's an interesting thing. But now it's a very top of the range car. But here's the thing. Okay, it costs $350,000.
Dollars.
Yeah. So it's an interesting car. I'll be interested to see what's
the draw? What are they? What's the value? Like, I mean, that's
basically it's to compete with very, very high end sort of top of the range 7 Series or borrow.
but that's like almost like
Bentley.
Brabham kind of money. You know, it's not even Mercedes money. That's higher than Mercedes.
Maybach sort of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other interesting cars coming. There's a new Santa Fe from Hyundai.
That'll be boring as hell, I'm assuming.
It's actually interesting. Totally new design language for Hyundai.
Oh, really?
It's very much a much more boxy sort of Land Rover-ish.
Oh.
Okay. So that's quite interesting. Okay. Now for SA, there's a couple of interesting cars coming. Okay. So first off, sort of going alphabetical order sort of thing. Audi, there's a new Q8 e-tron. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So it's all. So there's a Q8. Okay. And now there's a Q8 e-tron. Now there's actually no relationship actually between the two cars.
Between the normal e-tron and the Q8 e-tron.
No. The normal Q8 and the Q8 e-tron.
Oh.
They just share the name. Okay. So it's a completely different chassis, completely different interior, etc. But it's a top of the range e-tron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's coming here, and it's probably for a small fortune.
Yeah, because the Q8 is a huge. Is it going to be big? I'm assuming
it's big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Chinese brands.
Yeah.
Interesting one. Okay. Now, Chery. Okay. Are doing a big push in this country at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the whole they're pushing a lot of new energy vehicles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the PHEVs they're bringing, which are versions of the Tiggo 7 and Tiggo 8. Okay. So those are coming, but they're also bringing out their own sort of upmarket brands, what they call Jaiku. Okay. The 7 and 8. Okay.
Yeah.
So going sort of upmarkets.
Yeah.
Well specced.
Are those also plug-in hybrids, or are they going to be everything?
Yeah, I think they're coming out. They're coming with diesels, but I stand to be corrected if they're going to be hybrids or not. But we'll see. So, but this is the thing. I mean, there's Chery. There's also GWM with all its sub brands.
Yeah.
They've got the new tank sort of brand.
Yes, I will look at those pictures, Nana. I've got some pictures. Like, ooh.
Okay.
That looks. Is it GWM? No, it was someone. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a GM tank because GM also has Aura. With what overseas was a Funky Cat, which is such a cool name. But here,
they wouldn't have worked in South Africa.
Yeah,
I mean, like, especially when you translate it.
So anyway, Mini's coming here with a new Cooper, a new Countryman with an electric.
So electric's coming hard.
Yeah, Renault's coming with a new Duster. The sort of latter half of the year.
Oh, they're coming back with it.
Yeah,
but that was a Dacia.
Yes, yeah. It is a Dacia, but
I don't mind it though, because I thought the Duster, and I mean, the other Dacia they sold was the Sandero, which I thought the phenomenal car, great value for money.
Yeah, I mean, the new one is getting very, very good reviews.
The new Sandero?
Duster.
The Duster, okay. Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, so Volvo's bringing out the EX30 here as well, so that's a very small crossover.
I saw an article that the first one's on its way. Someone's ordered it. So that's nice.
This one special car I want to mention. Okay, now something we'll talk about in an upcoming episode. Now it's BMW's 50 years in South Africa.
Oh, really?
Okay. BMW South Africa 50 years. And now many years ago, there was a South African special, the 333i.
Yes. Okay.
Now, I only built 200 of those. Okay, but that was done with the assistance of Alpina. Okay. And in recognition of that, BMW commissioned Alpina, which is actually now essentially a wholly owned subsidiary of BMW, to do a special run.
Another 333?
No, unfortunately not quite. It's the standard Alpina B3, which is still quite special. I mean, the Alpinas generally are quite fabulous. But there was a special, only 5 of them were made that did various touch-ups. There's a BMW South Africa logo for 50 years. So it looks quite nice and so on. Only 5 of them, I think 2.9 million.
How many? 5?
5, yeah. 2.9 million.
Ooh.
But it was the top of the range, 340. Okay. So...
I'd love them to do a modern... Someone must do a modern-day retake on the 333.
Yeah, I mean, Alpina generally has, but that sort of raw sort of.
One of those custom shops can do it, I'm sure. It'll be very nice. Can you pass me that mouse? I want to look at something. Other new models? Anything else coming out before we look at this?
Other new models? Suzuki and Swift. One overseas one that's well worth keeping an eye on is the new Renault 5. Okay, all electric. Okay.
Yeah, they love to throw. This is what we were talking about last year, is throwing back, which I think is a nice retro. It's a good way to come back.
Here's an interesting thing, which I didn't know at the time, but when I was looking this up. Okay, so I mentioned the Mini Cooper and GWM or Funky Cats, whatever it's called. You know, actually underneath they are related.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, because it's a joint venture between BMW and GWM.
Okay. That explains it, because let's talk about that quick, because I did get some pictures of the Aura. Now, the Aura in general, so it's being sold in South Africa.
Yeah.
For 670,000 it starts at.
Yeah.
So, like when you look at it though, I mean, that looks like a cross between like a Porsche kind of front end. And you see that like Porsche deal there. The back end reminded me very much of the Nissan Leaf.
Yeah, I mean,
look at that.
What's they calling it here? The 03 or 03 or 2 or 03.
Yeah.
Anyway, which is boring.
It is boring. I think, you know what, one of my biggest problems with this car in particular is GWM. Remember, the first few cars they came out with were very much copycats.
Yes.
So I'm just going to find like a nice picture for us to reference here. So the challenge with GWM in general is like their styling will be copied. Like this one here is quite different. So you can see like styling elements that are quite nice. So a little bit of a Beetle Porsche front end, the Nissan Leaf kind of Duke back end.
Well, I mean,
I can see a mini line there or two.
But the interesting thing is, I just saw the thing the other day. I think it was BYD, which we'll actually talk about in a moment. Oh yeah, actually,
well, it'll lead into that. Yeah,
have hired Chris Bangle, the ex.
Oh really?
BMW head designer.
Oh, okay.
Very controversial head designer. Let's not forget that. As their new head of design, I think it was BYD.
So. Interestingly, so I looked at the price of this car, and I mean that's a smallish car.
But you said it was 600,000.
670,000. But then I looked at the BYD Otto. The bottom of the range one is 90,000 rand more than the GWM. So you got to ask the question: if I'm spending almost 700,000 rand on a car, should I not just spend that extra and get a bigger, better car?
Yeah, this is very much an issue at the moment. I mean. And this is actually the cheapest electric car on the market.
It is. So, but this is my problem with it. It's the cheapest, but it's so expensive.
Yeah.
I believe though they have one. They've launched in America. I don't know if it was. I think it might have been BYD. They launched it at $11,000. I mean that's dirt cheap for an electric car. Yeah. I don't even care if the range is 300 k's on that, because that
it's a car. Yeah. I mean, these aren't cars you're going to be driving to Joburg in.
No,
you're going down to the shops, to the beach, or whatever.
90% of our drive is that. Yeah. You know, so I think it would make a huge difference to South Africa. I know everyone's like, what if I want to drive to Joburg? But let's be honest. Like I last drove to Joburg 3 years ago.
Yeah.
The furthest I've driven is the Midlands, maybe the Drakensberg, and at a range of 400, 500 k's, I'd make it on that. You know, so it's not as big a problem as South Africans make it out to be.
Yes.
You know, so in my head though, when it comes down to then value for money, I think I'd rather get the BYD than this GWM.
I mean, but yeah, so we'll have to look at and see how things like dealer discounts and gun. Yeah.
The one thing about the BYD, which is funny, that they told me, which is quite interesting, is that it can double as an inverter for your house.
Ah, yes.
Which I thought was quite cool. I mean, now there's a whole different thing for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, a lot of the new cars can reverse and bring power to you. But talking BYD, I did actually forgot that they are bringing in the Dolphin, which is the new small.
Like a sports car?
No, city car.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So they have like a nice city car. They have a really nice coupe, like sports car.
Yeah.
They have a huge off-roader, like a Land Rover style Challenger, which is quite nice. So they've got a good range, mainly based on that same kind of platform or similar platform, which is very cool. So they can keep costs down. But I think it was an article, was that one I shared with you. I mean, they own the whole supply chain. And I believe that they are responsible for the bullet trains in China as well. So their knowledge and their technology is very
this
different.
is the thing. I mean, these companies, BYD is a good example, because 15 years ago they weren't building cars. I mean, this is the insane thing. I mean, they are an industrial company. They were doing trains. They were doing all sorts of other things. Yeah. And when they launched their first car, I think in the 2005, 2006 Geneva show.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember exactly when. And people were like, because they essentially were using the previous generation, I think, Opel and one other car, I can't remember which one it was, as their base.
Yeah.
And so, there wasn't much to it. But they've essentially built up their products there in 15 years from nothing now to, as we are going to say, the biggest electric car company in the world.
No, it's very impressive. I'll never forget there was a Top Gear segment where they looked at Chinese cars and they looked at the ones from 5 years before and they were awful. Yeah. And then 5 years later, they were so much better.
Yeah.
And it's again because they're so willing to fail and change. Whereas if you were to ask Ford to make a new body shape, they would take 5 to 10 years to sort that out.
Yeah.
Whereas China, they just don't care. They will make it happen.
Yeah.
Because look, I know it's a very wasteful thing, I believe. But the fact is, they're willing to take the risks, and the fact that everything's changing so fast, like computers are changing so fast.
Yeah.
Why can't other things?
Yeah.
And they're doing.
So there are issues but yeah, it's a very interesting process, and it's going to be a serious challenge to a lot of the Western manufacturers. I mean, let's face it. So they're not the biggest electric car manufacturer in the world. Granted, because big thing is because they sell a lot in China.
In China, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, technically their market is 1/8 of the whole world.
Yeah. So I mean, that does help. But this is the thing. They are doing to the rest of the world what Korean cars did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Because remember,
what the Japanese cars did.
Yeah.
Before, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Korean cars initially, I feel like, what?
Yeah.
They're awful. But now, they are among the best in the world.
Good, yeah. I'll never forget that story that I heard about Honda when, I think it might have been the 60s. Was it the 60s? I don't know. And GM had said, we can't meet the emission standards with, and they didn't want to put the catalytic converter on.
Yeah.
And Honda had said, you can. And they were like, nah, and they laughed him out the country. So he said, okay. So he bought a GM engine, a V8, and modified it and met the emission standards without a catalytic converter. Because he said, you can do it. And they were like, nah, get away, you stupid, And he came in and did it. And I think that's, again, I suppose we're seeing it again now. We're very lucky that we've witnessed it a couple of times in the world, that we're seeing it now with Chinese guys going, okay, cool, you guys want to be arrogant? Look, and I mean, look, credit to GWM. That's a nice looking car.
Yeah, it is.
It's I really like that front. I think it's
Dude, okay, this is going to sound bad. It looks a bit like a Mini Macan, which is not the greatest looking car in the world. But
sure.
But in those proportions, it actually looks quite nice.
It's a very good looking car.
Yeah.
Is it better than spending 90 grand more and getting the BYD? I don't know. The BYD is very nice. Not the greatest looking. Like, it's not like this has the style. Like if you look at this, you go, that's cool. BYD is a bit of a normal bland SUV. Yeah. Divine inside though.
Yeah.
Lots of space, lots of features. The funny little guitar strings. They actually tuned.
Yeah.
Except the front are tuned, the back weren't. And I said to the guy, like, come on, you need to tune your car. I suppose it's going to bring a whole new meaning to getting my car tuned. But they sound like guitar strings. I was actually very impressed. Like, it's very audible.
Yeah.
Like, you pluck those things and it's audible. It's so stupid, actually. But it's quite cool that they've done it. But I don't know if this is worth. In my head, I'd go for the BYD.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's the thing. But not everybody sensible. Some people buy
if this was maybe 50 grand cheaper, then if it was in the 500s, then it'll be all over.
Yeah.
Then I'd be raving about it. But I think it's just a little too overpriced. That's just my thoughts. Another weird electric car that I really wanted to talk about. This is something I love. Okay, so it's a bit of when Mahindra came out with the first Thar. It was that funny Jeep lookalike.
Yes.
Now this is the Thar E, which I think is. I mean, obviously it's an electric version. Like it's just Mahindra are ticking the boxes for me. I'm starting to really like what they do. Because
I think that they're now pumping a serious amount of money into their design work and their manufacturing. Okay, now that's an interesting design. I mean, I can see shades of sort of Humvee. I can see shades of Land Cruiser in there. But yeah, it's a pretty coherent design.
Interesting wheel design, eh? That's very fascinating.
The big squares.
Yeah, the big squares. I saw this and I was like, look, it's not released yet. But
so this is essentially just a concept at the moment.
Like I think it's gonna be released like this.
Yeah.
That's the plan, I believe. So, but I mean, like look at that. Like this, I love the square, like the square theme going around. I think it's
I love how the hinges are built in there and the way you can see them on the
side. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, this is quite something, and the fact that it's going to be electric.
Yeah.
Building on what they've learned from the other Mahindras. I mean, that initial Mahindra, it was called the Scorpio.
Yeah.
Ugly as hell vehicle. You know, it was super ugly, but I think that's what I liked about it, because it was like, well, you buy it for 300,000-400,000 rand. You're not going to worry if you scratch it to death in the bush, you know. Whereas if you pay 900K for a BMW X5, you're going to, you know, even though they say, oh, it's a soft road you can go off, I wouldn't. But this year, it's just got, it's cool, man. I think they're nailing it. Like, I love the design of it.
Well, the next Land Cruiser worth mentioning is also coming out. It's also going to be electric.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
But so this is the thing. So Mahindra are here. The Land Cruiser coming out. We've got a whole bunch of cars, and I saw a press release from Range Rover that they're testing a prototype of a Range Rover. And I'm like, gosh, you're so late to the party, eh?
No, all fairness, the Range Rover Electric is launching a little later this year. They've already shown a teaser.
It better be like phenomenal, because if that's the case, I mean, sure, you can take your time and then do it right, but
the thing is, I mean, it's essentially going to be above the standard Range Rover, which is really very high end.
Yeah.
So this is going to be something that's not going to compete with something like this.
No, it won't. But I just feel that they are so late to the party. Okay, look, if they're chasing perfection, then I understand it.
It's very much like Rolls Royce and their electric. I mean, because the new Rolls Royce.
Rolls. Imagine having a Rolls Royce and you've got a lisp. Rolls Royce Silver. What's it? Silver Spur.
Yeah. Anyway, so so all kinds of stuff.
Look, it better be good. Yeah. I'm sure it will be. But I found it an interesting thing that these guys like Mahindra are going, hey, you know, look at our very cool looking, very snazzy. I mean, Ford Bronco kind of robot-sized. There's so much like there's a bit of Ford Bronco, like you mentioned. There's a bit of Jeep, there's a bit of Land Cruiser,
a bit of Humvee in there.
Yeah, a bit of Humvee. There's I think like there's almost like a digital throwback to the way they've done the lights. It almost looks like a brackets kind of, you know. There's not much I don't like about this.
I'm interested to see who their lead designers are at the moment.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting, and I thought that's something to look at in the coming months. I'd love to see it. If it lands in South Africa, it'll be flipping great.
Now, one of the things I want to talk about, now South Africa, now we have quite substantial motoring history, I mean, we covered the Ford, I mentioned BMW 50.
That Alfa Romeo GT.
Yeah, I mean, we got quite a substantial thing, I mean, but now we have had a couple of full-on local manufacturers. Now I'm not going to talk about some of the older ones that can be for another day, but the two that I actually want to talk about in the last couple of years. Now, one is an interesting thing that could have been. Yeah. Okay. And the other one is what the hell. Okay. So the first one I want to talk about. Okay. I don't know if you remember, back in 2008, there's a local company, was Optimal Energy. Okay. They showed what was known as a car called the Joule. Yeah. Which is an electric car, which before Tesla, before everything, it was a 5-seater, 6-seater, then a 5-seater, if I remember correctly. Designed by Keith Hillett, the same guy designed the XJ220. Yeah. So it was a decent looking car, nice curves and so on. It had a 30 kilowatts battery. So the range I think was about 180 k's. 180 k's? Yeah, 150 k's. Top speed of 135 kilometers an hour. So
I mean, that's enough.
Yeah, I mean, so look, I mean, it wasn't great. I mean, but this was 2008. So they came out with a bit of a bang, showing off the thing at the what show? Paris Motor Show, 2008.
Oh, they went to Paris. Okay.
Okay. 2010, they were at Geneva. Okay, showing a slightly updated one where that was when they went from the 6 seats to the 5 seats. But then 2012, Optimal Energy shut down. Okay. Now, this is an interesting case of what if. Okay. Now, local company, they wanted local investment. They were looking at South African government for help. But I mean, to get up and running, I mean, they were talking in the billions of rands. Okay, and let's face it, at the time, even now.
And who was the car aimed at? What was their target?
It was like I said, fast 6 or 7.
Like a normal family sedan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially, it's a large hatchback sort of design.
Yeah, but this is where Elon did it right.
Yeah,
I mean, and I think.
Yeah, this is the point. Their design choice there, I think, understandable for a South African context, but it's not aspirational at the time.
Yeah.
And that's where, as you said, Tesla got it right.
Yeah, because they started with the Roadster.
Yes.
And they knew it had to be fast and it could be expensive because of it.
Yeah.
And that worked.
So unfortunately they lost out. They didn't get the money they needed. I mean, because they would have had to build a battery line, the production line for the car, etc., etc. So it would have been a quite a big investment, but it might have been an interesting thing for South Africa. I mean, we would have sort of leapfrogged everybody a little bit.
Yeah.
That's. Well,
I mean, when did load shedding start?
2007.
Yeah. So I mean, it just sounds like a case of the wrong time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is very much the case. It's an interesting what if.
Yeah, because you'd have had to ride out the range anxiety, because 150 km isn't a lot.
Yeah.
And people, for some reason, they have a block to the whole low top speed.
Yes.
You know, the GWM Aura, I think, is limited to 160.
Yeah.
You know, which it's probably capable of more.
Yeah.
But a Volvo came out a while back and said, we're also going to limit our cars to 140 because you don't need to be going that fast. There's no legal place where you can go that fast except for Germany. And then, what's the point? So, it's South Africans, we're fickle, hey?
Yeah.
We're fickle with cars. I mean, the fact that there's so many flippant Toyota Etios's on the road just shows how brand loyal people are to Toyota. Because that car is awful, David. It is the worst car. It's so awful. It's so dull. And yet people still continue to buy it because it's cheap and it's a Toyota.
Yeah.
The Toyota Hiace, do you remember when the taxi industry had massive strikes because the Hiace was 600 grand?
Yeah.
Whereas there was a Nissan for 400 at the time, and there was the GWM that was about 250 at the time.
Yeah.
But they absolutely refused to move from Toyota. They stuck with Toyota.
Yeah. And
we have this weird fickle brand loyalty and stupidly, because let's be honest, Toyota were in South Africa during apartheid.
Yeah.
So they were supporting the apartheid government to a degree.
Yeah,
I don't honestly, if we look back at history, do they really deserve our support like that? Look, all the other manufacturers who has also, I suppose we can't complain. The one who did pull out was GM.
Yeah. Okay. There's so I mean,
it's a tough one.
Yeah.
But I mean, it sounds like those guys are at the wrong time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, just a little too early and just not quite the right product.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Now, there's the next one I'll talk about is a company called Mereza, Mereza. Okay. Now, this is a case of where is this going? Okay. Now,
how recent is this?
Now, the company was sort of founded, I think, initially in about 2012.
Okay.
But they only really started getting active in 2019.
Whew.
Okay. Now, initially, they're coming. Now, they're all locally owned. Okay. So, essentially what they've done is the initial thing was they were going to bring in cars from Iran. Okay. Now, Iran, because of sanctions and so on, has its own personal own unique sort of car industry there.
Yeah.
Their main manufacturer is called Saipa, SAIPA. I can't remember what it stands for. But they're going to bring a car called the Saipa Quick. Okay. Small hatchback. Okay. So this company Mirazo was promising big things. They had saying that stock of 7,000 cars they're going to sell South Africa, Zimbabwe, seven countries in Africa. So they had all these things, but nothing happened. They sell their cars. And then at some point in the last 2020, 2021 or whatever, they managed to sell about 100 cars, but only in Zim.
Okay.
So now, look, they are a registered car manufacturer with the government. They aren't member of SAMHSA. So, but you don't have to be. Okay, so but they are registered as a car manufacturer. Now the big thing is they have announced a car called the Primate, PRIM number 8.
Okay.
And they've been showing off sketches of it. Now it's essentially, it looks like an updated Cyberquick.
Okay.
But all they've shown is a couple of pictures. Now the thing is that they're talking about selling an EV version of it for 200,000 rand.
That sounds good.
Yes. Okay. And they've made a whole bunch of claims about saying they've got access to the materials, and because they won't have to buy all the stuff, they'll make it themselves. And they've got various spin-offs, Mirazo infrastructure, Mirazo sort of things where they'll build the infrastructure to provide the power for the electric cars. But I mean, so they want to build a factory, okay? But if you're going to build a car factory, where are you going to put it? You put it somewhere where you can get those cars out to other countries or whatever. Yeah. They're building this in the Northwest Province.
Okay.
Which is in the middle of...
It's in the middle of nowhere, but I'm assuming that land is dirt cheap there.
Yeah, okay. You know? So apparently they have got the land. Okay. So that's one. Refer to my notes. Okay. They've raised apparently about $2.5 million. Okay. But now, this is the thing. Okay. Maybe the intentions are honourable, but it just feels to me they are setting pie in the sky sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, 200,000 rand for an EV?
I think it's possible. So, look, it's going to be a weird story now. When I studied marketing, there were a bunch of different pricing principles we learned. One of them was to target pricing. So you say, okay, this is how much I want to sell it for. And then you give it to a bunch of engineers and say, can you make it for that price? So you say, okay, so to do that, it's a valid, viable option.
Yeah.
Are there engineers who can deliver on that? That's the other question. So, like, look, now EVs, people are a bit more aware of them. So we don't have to raise awareness of electric vehicles. We do have to convince South Africans that they're not going to have a problem charging the car. Because everyone believes we're going to have a problem charging the car. I don't necessarily, because I read such a great article in I think it was Business Insider. One of the guys had his Volvo EV to test. And he said, I'm not going to charge it at home. And he didn't. He went to this fast chargers and charged it out at a shopping centre. He said he had no problems. You know, I think he reckoned the lowest he got it was like 20%. So that's cool. Like, you know, you can manage driving around Joburg with that. So once there's more evidence of that and more case studies, it'll be easier. But I think the idea of saying, we're going to be this big manufacturer, I believe they should actually start small and be more bespoke. So to say, okay, we're going to make a car in limited runs at a higher price that's aimed at certain people. Or do conversion kits. You know, conversion kits would sell in South Africa. You know how many Tazs are running around? Like with fucked up engines and smoke. Like how many Opel Corsas? Geez, you could just like build a kit that you bolt into that thing, and it would sell like hotcakes. Build a kit that bolts into a Hiace. Oh, geez, you'd be flying. You know.
Okay. I mean, this company is interesting. I mean, somebody pointed out they supplied images of cars. Okay, that they aren't building. But they're all AI generated. Things like that, which just gives the wrong feel. Okay.
Yeah, that is disappointing.
So look, I'd love to see some more South African manufacturers. I mean, there is a space there,
and there's the skill.
Yeah,
there's definitely the skill.
Yeah, but yeah, I think so. Two sort of case studies here. One is a what if, and one is as I said, the other one is
So here's what I would do. Okay, engineering aside, you have people who are smarter than me to do that kind of thing. Have them build a prototype car, and then I would start a racing series with them. Okay, short racing series, 10, 20 laps to go, and you get people to buy in on that.
Yeah,
and that's where you can start not only testing your product at that hectic stress levels, but you can also get publicity from it.
Yeah.
So that's how I would do it, because it's a way to have people fund your marketing.
Yes,
As opposed to advertising. Look, advertising isn't expensive, but you have to prove the value of your product. Now, I've mentioned before, Hyundai's quality. That's what got them the foothold in South African market. Quality in general is one of your best marketing tools. If you make a product that's really good and people go, damn, this thing's good, they're going to tell everyone about it. So if it was racing, because let's face it, people do like a bit of a quicker car, and it was cheap, especially if it was a cheap racing series. So you get the guys to go, okay, because there's the Polo Cup. The guys are buying polos and racing them, and they're limited to how much they can modify it. But also, if you give that car to people who are racing inclined and say, okay, do whatever the hell you want to this car to make it faster, except changing the motor, you'll come out with all this lacquer information to make your car better. And that's where I would do it, if I want to do it cheap. And then you can build them in the Northwest because you've got the land and it's just a road or rail system to get it out,
look, I think there's a space for us. South Africans are, in spite of everything, we sometimes are stupidly patriotic, and I mean, we do like our locals lacquer sort of thing.
Yeah, no, we do.
So you can play on that as well.
Yeah. You could.
So I think that there's definitely space.
But I think the main thing you got to do is prove that it works.
Yes.
And prove that you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'd love to say, well, 200,000 rand doable, but this, to look at GWM, the Aura, okay, that's 600,000 rand.
Yeah.
Now that is a company that does everything from start to finish for that car. I mean, they supply the batteries, they supply the steel, they supply everything. And that's not with huge import duties either.
No, it's not. But I still believe they're making 300,000, or not 300, but they're making about 300% profit on those cars. There's no way you can tell me that you can sell a car for 600,000 rand and in the same factory make a car that you can sell for 240,000 rand. These guys are making huge profits on those cars. There's a lot of people taking a cut because there's so many links in the supply chain. When you got all those people supplying all the materials, taking their cut, you got the manufacturer, then you got the shipping, then you got the dealer network in South Africa. And car dealerships make decent money, although they make 60% of the money from secondhand sales. But the reality is that there's a lot of people to be paid along the way, and that if they shorten that supply network, we'd be able to get the cars cheaper.
Interesting to see. What I'll do is I'll actually look up some of the values in terms, because I mean, generally that most car manufacturers actually do talk about their profit margins when they do their reports. So I'll actually look it up, and I'll actually put a number up somewhere here, which will tell you exactly the sort of profit margins.
Just cover it quick. No.
So that's the sort of their profit margins, and it'll be interesting to see if see what.
I think the other comparison you could make is what is it being sold for in other countries?
Compared
to other similar cars. So like the Golf, for example. Comparative to the Golf, is it a lot more? Is it a lot less? And it's like we can make our own Big Mac index. We can call it the Volkswagen Golf index.
Yeah. Well, that's a very valid point. Okay. I'll follow the story with Marisa because I mean they've promised big things for this year.
Good luck to them, eh? If they can,
because they've got their website. They are taking pre-orders.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'll even reach out to them.
Why not? See if we can talk to them.
Yeah. I'd love to ask them some decent questions
before they watch this. Because it's a tough one. Look, it's a tough market. They're not gonna, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of brand loyalty they need to get past. There's a lot of anxiety that people need to get past because you've got safety, range, quality. Oh, it's not an easy thing, hey.
But let's just reach out and see what they say.
If you guys do, I want 20% of the racing thing as I did. Okay, 10. That's fine.
Okay. Okay. I was trying to think what else we're going to talk about.
Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Well. Okay. So you may have noticed this is our new setup.
Yeah. Well, we're trying different things. Let's try this. Nice.
So we try this.
I don't know what to do with my hands. I find myself crossing my arms a bit.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Forgive if you see my bare feet.
Tootsies. Find David on OnlyFans.
Anyway, okay, so we will be trying to get things up a lot faster and more often.
Have some guests on.
Yes, we're going to talk about safety, so we're going to go so we can get
get some people to talk about safety, talk about some interesting things. Yeah, well, there's a couple of people I've got in the pipeline to try and contact to talk to, which will be quite nice. Maybe some racing drivers. Let's see what they have to say.
Yeah, do you know we should actually see if we can get hold of these the Dakar couple.
Yeah, that'll be great. Eh?
Okay.
We'll try.
Yeah,
we'll try. Let's talk to some interesting people this year. Let's see what other people like.
Okay.
It'll be fun.
So he did the intro, so I'll do the outro. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in a week.
Like and subscribe if you can.
Yes,
if we have to. I suppose we have to say that.
Once again, Instagram,
TikTok,
Threads.
Yeah, there's Threads. We're not that active on Threads. Threads is stupid.
Yeah.
And then our website, drivindads.online.
Yeah, which is under construction. I'm going to spend some time on it.
We'll add some more there. Yeah, we'll get it going.
Yeah.
And if you have any comments or suggestions, tell us in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
I would, love to hear from people who've watched and any suggestions. Okay, cheers for us.
Thanks. Cheers.
Gotta stop doing that.
I'm close enough to just like this now.